This year has been awesome. This year has been profitable. After trading with more than 9 different prop firms, getting almost about $5 million in live funding and about $400,000 in payout. On this particular video, I want to show you guys how you can be able to do the same step by step. I want to show you guys the practical steps that worked for me and took me from zero to almost about $5 million in live funding in 1 year. So if you guys are ready to see these practical steps that took me from zero to $5 million in 1 trading year, then make sure you smash that subscribe button below to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And if you like content like this, make sure you leave a thumb up on the video. So let me give you a minute. Smash that subscribe button on the channel because you can't miss content like this, which is going to be coming in the future. All right, good. So let's get into the video. At the beginning of this year, you guys already know my story. I got into prop firms in 2015 before all these prop firms even started coming to the game. And once I made profit from this particular prop firm, Apart Fund in 2015, that was in 2019. I was profitable in 2019. But I got into prop firms. I was trained by a prop firm from 2019. Once I made profits from this particular prop firm, I opened my personal life account and I stopped trading with prop firms from 2022 to 2023. In 2023, when I came back from Europe, from a world tour, which I went in Europe for almost about 20, went to almost about 20 countries in Europe, I told you guys there was a goal. I wanted to be able to come back into prop firms, and my goal was to get to $2.5 million in a year. My goal was to get to $2.5 million, even though I clocked the year with about $5 million in live funding. But if you guys can watch that video, I think I'm going to leave the link of the video above or on the video description. My target was to get $2.5 million in live funding. I recorded the video. I showed you guys the step I was going to be following, and I did just that. I had a plan in place, and I followed that plan. And behold, by the end of the year, you can see all the videos on my channel. Just browse my channel and you see all the videos. I ended the year with almost about $5 million in live funding and about $480,000 in payout. So how did I do that? What was the system which I followed? That's what I'm going to be showing you on this particular video. And you can start this system from zero with zero, from grass to grace. So let's just start here. This is a system which we're going to be following, right? So the system was my STD system. Don't start it. Hey, don't ask yourself that what is STD? It's not sexually transmitted disease or something. No, my system is called the STD system. You won't see it anywhere on the internet. It's my system which I formed, which I knew this was the only way I was going to win at prop firms. And I'm going to be showing you guys that particular system. So let's just go here. Don't worry, STD doesn't stand for sexually transmitted diseases, right? It's just my system which you're going to be knowing. You're going to know the meaning very soon, right? So with my STD system, S stands for what? My strategy. My strategy. Then T stands for transition. So transition. So how do I transit from zero to $100,000 in live funding, $200,000, $300,000, $1 million? There's a system you need to follow. It's not magic. There's a system you need to follow step by step. Then under D and arrow, which is STD, under D you have dominate. How do you dominate? And then just repeat the same thing, repeat. That's why profitable trading sometimes is very profitable trading sometimes is very boring, because you are just repeating the same thing over and over and over and over again. So this is my system that took me from zero to $5 million in live funding within a year. And I'm going to be breaking it down to the lowest level so that you can understand what is going on. Like I said, it's my STD system, which is strategy, transition, dominate, and repeat. Let's start with the first one, which is strategy. Under my strategy, it was simple. I don't care any strategy, guys, any strategy you want to use. Just make sure your strategy follows this system. It's as easy as that. Any strategy you want to use, I'm not condemning any strategy, but just make sure any strategy you want to use should be able to follow the system which I want to show you on this particular video, right? So under strategy, I have my rule, which is simple. None of my strategy has a risk to reward of at least 1:2. So before you take any trade, all right, any strategy, It can be your support and resistance strategy, guys. There are people making millions in the Forex market using just the support and resistance strategy. There are people making millions in the Forex market using just trend trading. There are people making millions in the Forex market using just the moving average strategy. There are people making money using just the Fibonacci strategy. Pick anyone and follow it religiously. Don't be a strategy prostitute where you start jumping from strategy to strategy. No. Pick one strategy and make sure the strategy follow the rules I want to show you on this particular video. And trade that strategy consistently for 3 months and you're going to see results. Guarantee. Talking about strategies, I got you guys covered on this. My channel has more than 8 different beginner-friendly strategies which you can pick any. So let's just say you pick just a simple support and resistance strategy, right? Just looking for your support and resistance zone. The market gets here, you buy here, you sell. Simple. That strategy is making people millions, right? So let's just assume you pick just the support and resistance strategies. How can you make that strategy to have this rule? Any strategy you have, whether it's your smart money concept, your CTI, CTC, or whatsoever you guys call it, right? Good. I don't use any of that. It doesn't mean if you don't use it, you're not going to be profitable. No. There are hundreds of strategies in the Forex market. Use what is working for you. So any strategy you have, you will only be able to join us on the top 1% if it follows this system. Full stop. Good. So now let's just take the simple support and resistance one. The first one here is our risk to reward. You never press buy or sell on your computer if the risk to reward on that trade is going to be less than 1:2. That's the rule. That's the rule, no exception. You never press buy or sell on any trade if the risk to reward, is less than is like this, is less than 1:2. Never. If the risk to reward is less than 1:2, you never open that trade. We're going to come into some practical examples and you're going to understand what I'm saying. Okay, now after the second point now is your time frame. So what time frame? So when it comes to the time frame in 2024 and above, I don't want you guys to be whether you're a beginner or a pro, guys, you need to be able to have systems that will give you peace of mind. You need to be able to have systems that will be printing money when you have other things to do on the side. And talking about that, I'm not going to be preaching about the 1 minute time frame, 2 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute. No, I want you to start from talking about time frames. Let's start. I want you to start from H1. All right, from the 1 hour time frame. I want you to start from H4, 4 hour time frame, or the D1. Those are the time frames I recommend. Remember, this is the millionaire system that will get you from $0 to $5 million in funding in a year. So time frame, we have H1, the 1 hour time frame, the 4 hour time frame, or the daily time frame. Full stop. Those are the time frames that are printing money. When you start from the lowest time frame to the highest time frame, it starts showing you how long you can stay in that particular trade. So the best, like I said, these are the 3 best, but you can just start with 1 hour time frame. Or if you want to be staying more into the trade, somebody like me that I travel a lot, when I'm moving from country to country, most of the time frames that I trade with is just H4 and daily. I just trade with 4 hour time frame, since I might only check those trades maybe after 2 or 3 days, or maybe after a week sometimes, right? Good. After you've done that, I want you guys to also, another thing you need on whatsoever on your strategy as now to go from $0 to $5 million in funding is your trading plan. Your trading plan. So what was your game plan? Before I started the year, I recorded even my trading plan on camera. I'm like, this is my trading plan. This is how I'm going to be taking the trade. This is how I'm going to go from $0 to $2.5 million in funding within the year. I even did, there's a highlight. Go on my Instagram. There's a highlight on Instagram which I made, recording the whole plan. Like, I'm going to record the whole process from $0 to $2.5 million. And you can see the importance of having a plan. I surpassed that, and I ended the year on almost about $5 million in live funding. All right, so that's that. So you need to have a trading plan. And what's just a trading plan again is just a checklist that outlines all the boxes, that tick all the boxes before you can take any trade. So your trading plan is going to be in line with the strategy you are using, right? Then after a trading plan, you need a trading journal. So what is a trading journal? A trading journal just records, a trading journal will just record all the trades you've taken, the good and the bad trade. So if you take a trade, if it was a winner, you need to record it down. If it was a loser, you need to record it down. If it was a winner, then that's your strength. So you learn how to leverage from your strength. And if it was a loser, that's a weakness. So you learn how to grow from your weakness. That's why in Forex trading, there's nothing like a loser, right? It's either you learn or you earn. If you place a trade that doesn't go your way, you're going to learn. And if you place a trade that goes your way, you're going to earn. The lessons you are going to take from those trades that doesn't go your way are the same lessons you use tomorrow to make millions. So in Forex trading, there's never a loser. It is either you learn or you earn. Your losers are just as important as your winners when it comes to Forex trading. Then after your trading plan, we go to the next one, which is what? Diversification. Diversification. I wouldn't get to $5 million in funding in 1 year if I was just trading Great Britain pound JPY, or if I was just trading gold, or if I was just trading US 30, or if I was just trading, no. You need to learn what they call asset diversification. When you are trading in Forex, you are trading different asset classes. You are trading Forex pairs, you are trading commodities, you are trading indices, you are trading precious metals. So you need to learn how to diversify your portfolio, because there are some assets that will be able to have liquidity more than others. There are some assets that will be more volatile than others. And when there's volatility in the market, that's where we follow volatility, because that's where the money goes. So that's what I'm talking about, diversification. And how do you diversify your asset when it comes to trading? Don't stick to just one currency pair. I'm gonna bust your bubble, right? I'm gonna be able to bust your bubble, because most of you think, guys think, maybe to be profitable you need to just stick. No. I've tried that for 8 years. There was a time I tried sticking to just one currency pair, and bro, it doesn't work. Don't stick to just one currency pair. Your support and resistance strategy, let's just remember we're taking the support and resistance for example. This same strategy will work across all assets. Support is always going to be support, whether you're talking about gold indices or you're talking about Great Britain pound JPY. Demand is always going to be demand if you're talking about Dow Jones, or you're talking about Nasdaq, or you're talking about, it's always going to be the same. So the same strategy will still work for this asset. The only thing you just need to learn when it comes to moving from asset to asset is just the difference in their trading costs, their spreads, and also their movement. That's it. That's it. So here I'll have to say, learn diversify your asset. So diversify your asset, and under asset, that's why you need to trade Great Britain pound USD. You need to trade gold. You need to trade euro USD. Then we have 22. We have 22 major currency pairs that you can trade. We have metals that you can trade, which is gold, silver, and that. We also have indices that you can trade. So learn how these particular different currencies work, and learn how to diversify your asset. Another thing will also be now learning how to diversify your portfolio. We're going to be coming to that in a bit, because you only learn how to diversify your portfolio when you even have a portfolio in place. Remember, at this point in time, we don't have the portfolio yet. We're still planning on how we can get the portfolio. So for you to be able to get the portfolio, you need to learn how to diversify your asset. Then once you've gotten the portfolio, which is now you start getting payouts, I'll then teach you how you can diversify your portfolio. So learn how to diversify your assets first. Then when you've learned how to diversify your assets, you then learn how to diversify your portfolio, which I'm going to be showing you guys on this particular video. So a strategy, the winning strategy that got me from $0 to $5 million funding in Forex trading in 1 year had this particular system in place. There's no strategy that I used, even talking about Petrexpo or my robotic strategies, they were able to have this in place. Any strategy I want to talk about, any strategy I used had this 4 or 5 points, which was my risk to reward. I never go for any trade that has a risk to reward of at least 1:1. Then I also had my time frame. Most of the time I stick with the 1 hour time frame, the 4 hour or the daily time frame. I also talk about, I had my trading plan which guides everything I do. I had my trading journal which I could record everything. If you guys must have noticed, which I had my book here. From 2015 to now, I used to have 2 big books every year. One book is for my trading journal, and one book is for my trading plan. My trading plan will guide me on what I need to do. Like if you are going for war, you need a plan, you need a strategy. My strategy is part of my trading plan. Then my trading journal will record everything. Then after that, I'll be able to also learn how to diversify my asset. I already know that if I'm sticking just to one asset, bro, that's not the way to go. I even did a video about, if you know this Atom Crow, there's a video that was one of the mentors I had when I just started. There's something he taught me about asset diversification that has stuck with me till today. And I'm just going to leave the link of that video above so that you can be able to watch that video to understand the importance of not just sticking to one currency pair. So that's that about strategy. Remember, we're talking about the STD, the STD system. So S stands for our strategy. Let's go to our T, which T is transition. After you've gotten the strategy now and you've made sure the strategy have all those boxes or all those steps involved, now let's go to the transition. How do you transition down from what? From $0 to $1 million or from $0 to $5 million in funding. All right, good. The first point on our transition is what I call the double rule, right? So what does the double rule state? The double rule is simple, it's self-explanatory. The double rule states that if you are starting with prop firm and what you can afford to invest into prop firms is $10, then you split that $10 into two and you buy two prop firm accounts, each worth $5. That's what the double rule states. So if you are coming into prop firms and you can only afford to buy a prop firm account worth $100,000, I want you to split it into two. The double rule states that you need to split it into two and buy two $50,000 prop firm accounts. So why are you buying two $50,000 prop firm accounts? Because you are already accepting the reality when it comes to trading. You are already accepting the risk when it comes to trading, to say, I'm going to lose some of these trades, I'm going to blow some of this account, I'm going to lose some of these prop firm accounts. All right. So even if I lost one of the prop firm accounts, I'm just hoping on a 50% win rate or on a 50% success rate. So even if I lost one of these prop firm accounts, at least one is going to take me to funded to pay out. That's the reason why you must remember, this is a system. There's no shortcut. There's no shortcut, all right? You must respect this rule, which is the double rule. So if you can, on this particular video, we're going to be taking an example like, okay, anyone can afford to buy $100,000 or 90% of people can afford to buy a $90,000 prop firm or a $100,000 prop firm account. A $100,000 prop firm account is $500. 90% of people can afford that. So at that point, the rule states that if that's what you can afford, then you split that into two. You buy one $50,000 prop firm account and one $50,000 prop firm account. We should make the total of $100,000, which is still the same. So that's the double rule. And then 10%, what does it state? The 10% to pay out. I call this one 10% to pay out. All right. Remember, the double rule states that we are already telling ourselves that we're going to have a 50% success, right? Success rate. So after we have a 50% success rate, one of those particular accounts are going to go from challenge phases to funded. After one of those accounts have actually gotten to the funded phase, this is your target. Your target is just to make 10%. Anyone based on any strategy, if that strategy has to follow the rules which I showed you under S, which S stands for strategy, if that strategy has to follow those rules, trust me, you will be able to make 10% on your funded account. As soon as you hit 10% on your funded account, request a payout. As soon as you request payout on that funded account, it then takes us now to what? To the last point, which is what we call 50% investment. Investment split. All right, 50% investment split. So what does this 50% investment split means? It means after you've gotten your 10% payout at this particular stage, I want you to be able to break this down. 50% should be able to go back to buying new prop firm accounts, while 50% goes to your private brokerage account. The main reason why you trade with prop firms, before I got almost about $400,000 in payout with prop firms in 2023, I got more than $200,000 in profit on my $200,000 in profit on my private account, and my portfolio on my private account is standing more than even what I got as payout. Is standing more than $500,000, because immediately I used to get my payout. What do? 50% goes to my private brokerage account, which can be my broker with IC Market, with XM, or any recommended broker. You're going to see the link on the video description. So it's simple. I put 50% in my private brokerage account because the main reason why I trade with prop firms is to build my private account. Remember, I told you guys my story from 2015. When I got $200,000 from iParry Fund, 2018, 2019, when I made my first profit, my main target was achieved. I opened my 2 private accounts. One was with IC Market, one was with XM, and the rest was history. That's why I bought my first car, because I was trading with my own private funds. I came back in 2023 because I needed $2 million to trade. I needed $5 million to trade. So that's why I came back to Prop Firm with the same goal in mind, to grow my private account. So at this stage, 50% should go to your private account with maybe XM or IC Market, right? And then 50% now you reinvest. Okay, so you reinvest 50%, and 50% goes to your private account with your brokerage account. Now, there's a rule at this particular point in time, because once you are scaling, there's a particular point in time where you can invest up to 50% back in buying Prop Firm account, because there are some months I used to have payouts of almost about $100,000. If I have payouts of almost about $100,000, there's no way I'm going to reinvest $50,000 in buying Prop Firm accounts. So that's where rule number 3 comes in, which you now respect. What I call the 10K investment limit. So what does the 10K investment limit state? The 10K investment limit states that anytime I have a payout, which 50% of that payout is more than $10,000, what I can only invest is $10,000. Meaning at every point in time, there's no way I can ever invest more than $10,000 in buying Prop Firm account. This is out of experience. This is based on experience, right? So there's no way I can ever invest more than $10,000 in buying Prop Firm account. And that will happen when you start scaling, and there's a point in time you can even have maybe $50,000 in payout at the end of the month. When you have $50,000 in payout at the end of the month, there's no way you can invest $25,000. So that's why this rule will be able to come in place. So rule number 1 is the double rule. You need to be able to, if you can afford to buy $100,000 with Prop Firms, you split it into 2, buy two $50,000 Prop Firm account, 10% target. So one of those accounts will get funded. You just wait to hit 10%, you request a payout. 50% goes into my private brokerage account, and 50% is reinvested until I get to the break-even point, where at that point in time, 50% is more than $10,000. Once 50% is more than $10,000, I only invest $10,000. I never reinvest more than $10,000 into buying Prop Firm account. And when I'm starting with Prop Firm, you can ask me like, okay, so at the end of the month, if I have to make $1,000, does it mean 50% will go to my private brokerage account and 50% goes into buying Prop Firm accounts? What will I use to buy my shoes? What will I use to buy my Jordans? What will I use to buy ice, to buy chains, to buy cars? Bro, when you're starting, you have to always accept the reality in Forex. You're not going to be rich overnight. Getting rich in Forex trading and joining us on the top 1% takes a process, and you can't skip the process. All right, you can't skip the process, and you can't hurry the process. So at the beginning, just tell yourself that you're not going to be rich overnight. You have to compound yourself to the top. So that's why I always advise you should be able to have something which is keeping you busy, or something which is self-sustaining you, something which is putting food on the table, like maybe your 9-to-5 job. Because remember, I recommended higher time frames. Those are time frames that you can be doing that, you can be trading while doing your 9-to-5 job. All right, so you don't rely on that money. At the end of the month, you made $1,000 and you just eat all the $1,000. You go back to level 0. So I'm assuming we're going to reinvest everything until you get to that break-even point. Remember, I mentioned of a break-even point is when you get to the break-even point where 50% of your payout is more than $10,000. That now you can use about 40% to buy stupid things. Like I'm calling it stupid things. Like that's why you guys see me buying all these cars. I call cars are liabilities, but I can afford to buy them at that particular point in time. I can afford to give myself the treat. I can afford to pay myself. All right, because I've gotten to that level where I can buy liabilities. I can buy stupid things. After I've given you guys the theory behind the transition state, let's go to now what? Practical examples. This is where you'll be able to see how I made it possible, right? Under stage 1, remember, we're going to be taking an hypothetical example to say, okay, you can afford a $100,000 Prop Firm account. So based on the fact that you can afford to buy a $100,000 Prop Firm account, let's start with the same thing. Let's do the same thing we preach, right? So we start with the double rule. What does the double rule state again? The double rule states that you need to split the rule number. Let's start with number 1, which is the double rule. And it states that you need to split that money to buy 2 Prop Firm accounts. So I'm going to buy 150K account. So I'm going to buy, let's put like this 150K account and another one 150K account. That's it. That's the first rule, the double rule. Because we can afford to buy prop firms worth $100,000. Now we've split it. We've bought 150K account and 150K account. Let's go to rule number 2. What's rule number 2 again? Rule number 2, our target is now we've already accepted. In some cases, all these accounts will go from 0 to funded. All these accounts, you have all will go from 0 to funded. If you follow the rules I showed you guys under step S or under strategy. If you follow the rules under strategy, most of these accounts can go to winning, but we are already accepting the reality. We are already putting our mind at ease to say one of these accounts can blow out. All right, we are already accepting anything can happen in Forex trading. There can be fundamental news that you have no control over. All right, so one of these is going to be, let's just put this in red. So one of these is going to be blown. One of these is going to be blown, and then one of these is going to be funded. So let's put this in. I like funded. So one of these is going to be blown and one of these is going to be funded. Can you see I'm going to wait? It's going to be rare for you guys to go on YouTube and you see someone making a video and it's already planning on the account that is going to be blown. But that's the reality of trading. That's why we're on 1%, because we talk about what is difficult to talk about. All right, we need to talk about the reality. You're going to blow some of the accounts. That's the reality. Now, let's go to step number 3, which is now our 50% investment. Remember, one is already blown, and now the funded one, our target is to hit 50%. 50% of 50K is what? 50% of 10% payout. I mean, let's go to this 10% payout. 10% payout. Which is 10% of 50K is what? 10% of 50K is $5,000. All right, $5,000. And assuming your prop firm pays you 80% and keeps 20%. Most prop firms even pay 90-95%. So assuming your prop firm pays you 80%, you're going to be going home with what? You're going to be going home with $4,000. Started with this, now you are at this particular stage. Realistically, you're going to get here. There's no magic. You get to this particular stage if you follow the rules. You are now on $4,000. What does the last step say? The 50% investment plan. 50% investment plan. What does it say? We're going to put 50% into our private brokerage account, which can be XM or IC Market or the brokers. I'm going to leave the links on the video description. And 50% is going to be going back into buying prop firm accounts. So this one here, let's put it like this. So this one right here, let's do this. Good. So this one, 50% of this, which is 2K, 2K is going to be going. 2K is going to be going into buying prop firm accounts, and 2K is going to be going. 2K is going to be going to our private brokerage account. Now this take us to what? This take us. Can you guys see this? From this step, this take us back to what? To the first step, which is now you start with the double rule again. But when we are starting with the double rule, remember, we are no more starting again with someone a $100,000 prop firm account, which is split into two. You could afford to spend $50 or $500. At this point in time, going back to the double rule on step number 1, we don't have just $500 again. We have $2,000. Since we already have 2K now to reinvest into prop firms, we go into what? We go into step number 2. On step number 2, let's see what will happen here. On step number 2, remember we have 2K. With $2,000, we can buy prop firms worth $400,000. All right, with $2,000, you can buy prop firms worth $400,000. So we go again to step number 1. Let's go to step number 1. Which on step number 1, let's come out with our colors. Let's start with our black. We start with our double rule on step number 1. Since we can buy prop firms worth $400,000, we'll be able to buy 200K and 200K. We're already telling ourselves one of these 200K can blow out. Now step number 2, which is what? Which is with this one, number 2, this one is going to blow out, this one is going to be blown, and this one is going to be funded. Now we have 200K, which is funded. Number 3, 10% of this, 10%, and we request a payout. Remember, this one is going to be funded. 10% of $200,000 is $20,000. 10% of 200K is equal to 200 is equal to 20K. Now we have $20,000. And assuming your prop firm pays you 80%, you'll be going home with what? With 18K. Now you have 18K in payout. Now let's respect our 50% profit split again, which is now number 4, 50% reinvestment. 50% reinvestment. It means 50% of this, which is going to be 9K. Can you guys see we're getting to that 10,000 mark, which is going to be 9K, is going to go into reinvesting, and then this one 9K again is going to go to what? Private broker. Can you see? At this point, how much do we have to reinvest? Where's my color again? How much do we have to reinvest again? We have, let's just undo this and make it a little bit clean. So we have how much to reinvest? We have $9,000. You started from nothing. You started with $500, and at this point in time, you have $9,000 to reinvest. And almost remember, this one, $9,000 is going to our private account to meet the $2,000 which was already there. You already have almost about $11,000 in your private brokerage account, and now $9,000 to reinvest. What happened? This one again bring us now to what? To step number 1, which is our double rule. But under our double rule, we don't have just $2,000 again to reinvest. We then have $9,000. With $9,000, you can buy prop firm worth $1.8 million. Can you guys see? So we go to the last step, which is step number 3, where you are already approaching. Remember, one of these steps will be able to take you a month or two max. A month or two max. Anyone who follow the steps as showed under strategy, you can pass a prop firm and get funded within a month. So within 5 months, you can get to 5 million. It's very practical. It's very realistic. I did it. You too can do it. So under step number 3, we start with our first rule again, which is our double rule. And now we have what? We have $9,000, which we can buy prop firms worth $1.8 million. So we have 900K and 900K. All right. Remember, on number 2, this one here is going to be blown, and this one is going to be funded. So this one is going to be blown, and this one is going to be funded. Now we have 900K. Remember, and we are assuming any other one after doing the payout, we're gonna lose the account. Remember, that's why, we're still having about $200,000 prop firm accounts plus the 50K or plus the ones we receive a payout. So I'm just assuming after receiving that payout, you lost the account in one way or the other, you lost the account. So, but in most cases, there are some accounts I used to have 6 payouts in one account. So just imagine how it's gonna add up. All right. So this is like the fresh money coming into the game, right? At this particular point in time, this one is going to be blown and this one is going to be funded. We go to the third stage, which is what? 10% payout, 10% to pay out. 10% to pay out. Which 10% of these, 10% of $900,000 is what? Is $90,000. 90,000. And assuming your prop firm pays you 80%, what's 80% of assuming your prop firm pays you 80% of this total payout, 80% of about $90,000, you'll be having about 75,000. All right, let's just assume you have about 75,000. You see, so this is your share. This is what you're going to be going home with, $75,000. And remember, at this particular point in time, that's when you go break even. Because now, if you have to split this into 2, this is already more than $10,000. Because I say, anytime you split it into 2 and the amount is more than $10,000, that's where you consider yourself break even, because now you can treat yourself. You can buy those cars. You see, I can buy those BMWs. I can buy those Range Rover. I can do those things, because that was where I went break even. So at this point in time, the 50% rule will now go like this, all right? The 50% rule is now divided into 3. So 40% will go into treating myself, all right? Will go into treating myself, and 10% will go into reinvesting, and then 50% goes to what? My private brokerage account. 40% of about $75,000 should be almost about $30,000. Just imagine I can afford to buy a car of $30,000 at that point in time. I can afford to buy a property. I can afford to treat myself. I can buy all those shoes, all those Jordans, all those eyes, all those things. I afford it at that particular point in time. And then 10% of this will be of $75,000, will be roughly about $10,000 or about $7,000. But I said anytime 50% of your payout is more than $10,000, I want you to reinvest $10,000. So $10,000 of this will be reinvested, and the rest of after removing that, the rest goes into your private brokerage account. And then remember, at this point in time, how much is going to be reinvested again? $10,000, $10K. We're going to be reinvesting $10K. So this $10K, boom, goes back to this particular stage. Can you see? This 10K goes back to this particular stage. At this point in time, how much are we having in live funding? On the previous slide, we had 200K. All right. We started on the previous slide, we had 200K. We also had another, the first one was also 50K. I'm talking about the ones that are funded, plus this one, which is 900K, which is funded. So the total, this is 1.1 million in funding. And stage 3, this can be the third month. This can be the 10th month, and you're already 1.1 million in funding, you're having about $50,000 saved in your private brokerage account. You've been able to buy your first car, and can you see this? This is just at this particular point. You take this 10,000 again, you go here, and by stage 4, stage 5, after the 6 months, you're already on 5 million. That is how I did it. This is not magic. And if you follow this system, everything you do here, trust me, if you come here and you go here, right, the most important thing that will get you from 0.0 to $5 million in funding is, boom, is this guy right here. More magic. It's this guy. This system. You make sure your strategy follows all these steps. If your strategy can follow all these steps, and then you understand everything we had here under STD, all right? You understand everything we had under STD, which is, STD just stands for strategy, transition, and dominate, all right? Remember, we're just going to quickly talk about dominate and repeat, and that will be it. So let's just quickly go here, and we'll talk about dominate and repeat. All right, let's just go here. So under dominate and repeat, you'll only be able to join us on the top 1% of people who are making money in Forex trading if you can dominate the rest 99%. As easy as that. You'll only be able to join us on the top 1% if you can dominate the rest 99%. And how can you dominate the rest 99%? When you are disciplined. When you have a good trading psychology, when you follow everything I showed you guys under S, when you follow everything I showed you guys under strategy, and any system you are using to trade, respect this. When you already understand everything I taught you guys under transition, and you've simulated this over and over and over. Even if you can start with just buying a $10,000 profit account, follow this step and you still move from 10,000 to 1 million. Remember, one of my main goals for this year is to make 10,000 people profitable in Forex trading. Remember, I didn't say to make 10,000 people know Forex. I said to make 10,000 people profitable. In a year, I can make 10 million people know about Forex, but my goal is for 10,000 people to make their first profit, get their first payout, buy their first property using Forex profit. And how can you do that? When you are able to dominate. And how can you dominate? When you are able to follow the system I've just taught you guys. I hope you guys were able to take your book. You need to take notes. You need to be able to simulate this from the start to the finish. So I don't care if you have to watch this video 10 times. That's how you are going to understand what I've been able to teach you guys on this particular video. That's how you can be able to practice this, and that's how you can be able to dominate. And let's talk about repeat. That's why I used to talk about profitable Forex trading being very, very boring. Because once already, this system took me almost about 2 years. This is a system I used in 2019, 2018 to get my first money in prop firms before even all these prop firms formed by kids started coming to the game. All right. So this system took me almost about 2 years to come out with it. You won't see this system anywhere on the internet. That I can tell you as a guarantee. After this video, you're going to see now these kids are going to copy, put on their channels and do all of that, do copyright, copy my content. I don't care. But at this point in time, you won't see this video or this content, this same content in this particular manner anywhere on the internet. And at this particular point in time, I'm now profitable in Forex trading. I'm now getting the payout. The system is working for me, and that is where I'm talking about what? A repeat. I just keep repeating the same thing. That's why profitable Forex trading sometimes is very boring, because you just keep repeating the same thing. You just keep repeating the same thing. You can just change a couple of things on your what? On your S. On your S, you can only just change a couple of things. Maybe there's a particular market that is volatile, there's one that is less volatile. You can only change those things, but at the end of the day, you will just be doing what? You will just be repeating the same thing. You will just be repeating a system which is already working. So follow this system, which is the STD system, and trust me, you are going to move from 0 to $5 million in live funding in 2024 and above. Talking about the prop firm, my recommended prop firm, check the link on the video description to be able to use the prop firm which I am recommending for you guys to use. The prop firm that you'll be able to achieve this goal without any problem. So just check the link on the video description. And if you want me to mentor you one-on-one, if you want me to teach you from A to Z on how to trade Forex, I have a complete Forex course that will teach you everything from A to Z. Check the link on the video description to enroll in Godlove University. Make sure you join my free Telegram community where I share free education. That's a community where you'll be able to join other traders. Check out Patrex Pro, which is my recommended robot, which I use on a daily basis. And also check the link on the video description for the recommended broker. Remember, I spoke of the recommended broker. Also check the link on the video description. Check out this video, which was a full, almost about 2-hour video I made teaching you guys how to trade in 2024. Check out this playlist, which is a playlist of all the videos that will get you kickstarted this year. Click here to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on these other videos. Peace.